welcome to the Journey Success Stories podcast. I'm Jennifer Shuffle, your host, and today I am with Bob Kelly. He is the founder and president of KPG Creative. Thank you, Bob, for joining us today.
Thanks, Jennifer. Happy to be here.
Love it. So today we'll be talking about your business, your journey to business ownership, challenges, but of course, those best practices along the way. And we want to really have that sneak peek into really what it takes to build a business and to operate a very successful business like yours. So if this is your first time to the channel, definitely like and subscribe because we want you to get notifications whenever we have new shows drop just like this one. So Bob, welcome to the show and thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love for you to share a little bit about you, but also the business and what got you to where you're at today.
Oh, how much time do we have? It's long.
Apparently not enough, but let's do this part for maybe 10 minutes at most.
Sure. Okay, so I am a native Cincinnatier. I grew up in Cincinnati and went to school at UC and then transferred out to Maryland in Washington, D.C., where I got my degree in radio, TV, and film back in the mid-1980s. So yeah, I'm old.
Oh, you are not.
I always had a fascination with the television industry back in those days, and I had a chance to work on a couple of projects in college, one being the Kennedy Center Honors. You might be familiar with that show. Each year it goes on. And I did a 4th of July concert with the Beach Boys on the Mall in 1984.
So cool.
That was a Showtime special. Well, by doing those couple of projects, and there was another one in there, I got to meet all of these teams from LA, from Hollywood, who had come in to produce the projects. And so I got the bug very badly. And they all said, hey, you did a great job. If you ever want to come to LA, we'll help you out. So the day I graduated from college at Maryland, I packed up my car and I drove to LA.
You drove from Maryland to LA.
Across the country. I had only what would fit in my car. And I had a few names to look up. Of course, back then there was no internet, no cell phones. So I get to Hollywood and I've got to track these people down. And it took a few weeks to find the people I had been in contact with. But I eventually got a job just as a gopher, a runner, they call them out in LA, delivering scripts, getting donuts, sweeping the stage, things like that. But I got into Hollywood very quickly and spent the next 5 years working in Hollywood in live television, game shows, sitcoms, network specials, which is where I learned my craft. Did things from everywhere from the Oscars to Jeopardy to Soul Train to a series with Sid and Marty Krofft called DC Follies, which was a lot of fun with Fred Willard as the bartender and the rest of the people were puppets that looked like real people. So it was an incredible experience for the first 5 years of my career. And then when the writers went on strike in 1989, like they did just a couple of years ago, they killed Hollywood and we all lost our jobs. And there was no work for anybody. So I wound up getting an offer to go to Disney in Orlando, which was just opening their studios. Knocked on the door, said, hello, Mickey, I'm here. And I never got a day of work out of them. Not one day.
Wow.
So I moved back to Washington, D.C., where I'd gone to college and was immediately working for NBC and stayed there for a couple of years when I met my ex-wife and we got married there and decided to come back to Cincinnati. So it was a 10-year loop from leaving Cincinnati to coming back. And then I worked here for several of the large production companies in town. Now I had moved from broadcast TV where I was to all corporate stuff, which is where we are now, working for the bigger production companies in town, doing corporate video, corporate events, things like that. And in 2002, I said, you know what? I think I can do this better on my own. So I grabbed my bat and ball and left the company I was with and said, I'm going to go do this by myself. And in 2002, that's when we started. And 23 years later, we're still here. It's kind of crazy.
That is amazing. And you have a team too.
Right. We have a staff of 6 plus me. And most of my team has been here for a very long time. My number 2 person has been with me 17 of the 23 years. Another gentleman has been here 14 years and another 10 years. The others are a little bit younger in their tenure, but we must be doing something right in the corporate video and corporate events world to keep these guys working with us for such a long time. And I think we've got an amazing culture here. We're definitely family friendly and taking care of your personal life as well as the company. And my philosophy is in our business, which is a creative business, we have stretches where we work really, really hard, like weekends, 16-hour
Right.
days, all kinds of stuff like that. But when we're not doing it that hard, I'm not a clock watcher with the team. You want to leave at 3 o'clock because you got something going on, go for it. You got to stay home and take care of the kids this morning and you can work from home. Great, no problem. So I think that's served me pretty well as far as keeping a team that's excited to be a part of it, is passionate about it, and really respects that we take care of each other.
So, team dynamics is something that a lot of our listeners definitely endure as business owners. So, tell me a little bit more of some of the things because retention is huge.
Yeah.
Because the cost of turnover is just astronomical. So, creating that flexibility is important. But what are some other things that you've done as well to kind of keep everybody in that family environment and keep everybody around for so long?
It's a good question. I think a lot of it centers around autonomy for the employee, and that they feel like they have a major stake in our success. And they know that I'm not going to micromanage them. I've worked with plenty of companies over my career that you were micromanaged and you had to be in your chair at 8:30 in the morning and you did not leave until 5:30 p.m. no matter what was going on. And I just found that to be really stifling, especially in a creative business like we're in. Creativity doesn't necessarily happen between 8:30 and 5. It could happen at 5 a.m. It could happen at 10 p.m. Who am I to tell you that you have to be creative between the work hours that we've set? And so I think that that's gone a long way. Now we have regular work hours, and I pretty much work regular work hours, but the team has a lot of flexibility. And I've always felt that it was more important to focus on delivering results than it was on meeting a time clock. And especially in what we do, where creativity can either happen bang like that, and you've got a killer idea and it's perfect, or it can take a while to form and come out as something that's valuable to your customer. And you can't really put time limits on that. Even though we set up our budgets on hourly rates and things like that, we really don't operate that way. We operate on a fixed fee and say,
Yeah.
we've agreed with you that we're going to do this project. We're going to tell your company's story for $15,000.
Yep.
Most other production companies will now nickel and dime you by the hour for everything you do, much like maybe a law firm would do. They're going to
Right.
charge you for the paperclip. They're going to charge you for the extra hour of editing. We don't do that. When you work with us, it's like we're going to create a budget based on the creative and the idea that we've all come up with and the results we expect. And then that's your number. And whether it takes us twice as long as we expect or half as long as we expect, that number's not going to change unless you change the scope of work. So I think that that's, for our customers, that's really comforting to know that we're locked in. We're going to take the journey with you. We're taking the risk with you.
Mhm.
And we're just going to make it happen. And we're not going to stop until it's right.
That is unbelievable. So, tell me more about who is your ideal client? So, if you
Sure.
had like an avatar of your ideal client, who would that be?
Yeah. Well, we work primarily, probably 95% in the corporate marketplace. We are B2B company. So we help businesses tell their stories. We help businesses market themselves. We help businesses get return on their video investment. So our ideal customer is typically someone in upper management, probably a marketing director, a CMO, could be a CEO. It's typically at that level. It could be an admin to a C-level person, because oftentimes the C-level says, I want to put on a show, or I need a video, go make it happen. The admins reach out to us and then we go from there. But typically it's at that C-level of an organization where we work,
Mhm.
because they're the ones who have the decision capability, and they're the ones who have
Yes.
the vision.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I just had a CEO of one of our client companies in here late last week shooting a vision video for his company. And we've been a client, they've been a client of ours for 14 years now. and they
Wow.
trust us implicitly. So when he
Yeah.
came in with this big long script and he started going through it, I said to him, "It sounds like you're talking to the board of directors. I think we need to change this up so that you're talking to the team because you're using a lot of board level words here, synergistic and things of that nature that maybe EBITDA, right? That maybe the working team doesn't quite grasp."
Right.
And so we worked through it on the fly in the studio while he's working on camera with us to kind of change some of the language to stuff that was more, call it user friendly, I guess. And
Mhm.
then they didn't have an idea of what it should ultimately look like. So we came up with a whole way to add graphics to it that would explain what the heck is EBITDA, and other things that he wanted to do, and to basically make his presentation more approachable to his large team of people everywhere from warehouse workers to salespeople to executives. You've got a wide range of knowledge base in there that you've got to reach somehow. And so we just completed it and turned it in yesterday. They love it. They're very happy. So mission accomplished.
That's such a great story because that brings me to what really sets you apart from your competitors.
Uh, Quite a few things. One is that we do exactly what I just said. We get totally invested with our clients. We know your business not as well, but nearly as well as you do. And we take the time to really understand who is your audience? Who are you trying to speak to? What are the key things that differentiates you as a customer in your business that we can take on and key in on for delivering messages? Another thing that's very unique about us now is we are very strongly focused on return on video investment. And what I mean by that is a lot of companies out there think, I need a video. Let's make a video. I want to show how cool we are as a company. And that's all good. But what are you going to do with that? We'll call it the brand video. What are you going to do with that brand video? Is it going to live on your website? So let's say you drop, 20, 30, 40, $50,000, whatever the number is on this
Mhm.
beautiful brand video, and you put it on your website. Okay, now what? Nobody sees it. What are you going to do with that video you just sunk a bunch of money into? So
Yes.
what we're doing is coming up with strategies now to say that, okay, we can make that brand video for you, but in reality, we need to put a strategy around this so that we get the most eyeballs on it as possible so that we are driving results. And what do you want out of this? You want more leads, you want more sales, you want more opportunities, you want to recruit new people, whatever it is that your goals are. Let's build a strategy around that. And
Yes.
so it's not just the brand video, it's the strategy around the brand video. And then how are you going to take that project to market and make it do what you want it to do? So let's talk about, are you going to put it on your social channels? Well, we've realized that organic posting of social content for businesses doesn't do a whole lot. And
Right.
marketing people spend a lot of time posting organically. And the return on that is very small. On the other hand, posting in paid categories will greatly increase the revenue opportunities. You're getting the right eyeballs on your content now. And we take it a step farther. We're doing a lot of audience research now to uncover who are our prospects, I'm sorry, our customers' ideal prospects. Who is their ideal audience? What is the persona of that audience? And so we'll go through research that talks about their demographics, what they're searching for, where they hang out online, what are the kinds of content that might reach them. And we put that all through a typical kind of sales funnel process. So we're going to
Mhm.
create content in an awareness campaign that's going to reach a broad audience that might be interested in you. And we're going to target them with thought leadership content. Once we get them engaged to a certain level, we can identify that group, who they are. We can now bring them into a tighter funnel we call consideration and feed them deeper content that overcomes objections, educates them on why you're a great option for them to consider.
Yeah.
And then we further engage that audience into a tighter group and feed them the next level of content called decision stage. And this is the content is your brand video, why they should work with you, why you're the best choice in this area. And at that point, after you've got people who have engaged on a broad level, have engaged at a mid level, and have engaged at a final level, you're spitting out highly qualified leads that will come
Yes.
into your sales cycle, and you should be able to close at a much higher rate. And now you're going to drive them back to the website where they'll actually watch your brand video. And that's how it all should work. It should all be that
Yes.
strategy. Um,
Yes.
because I had a really good point. Let me think about what that point was. It'll come back to me. The point is that you've got to find the audience, engage the audience, and deliver an audience for your customer. And that's what we're all about.
Very well said. As a business coach, we always talk about marketing efforts, and marketing or videos need to more than pay for themselves. Best case scenario, 3x. So the fact that you're really doing that strategizing and pulling them through the funnel and having that pipeline management is so astronomical, because crazy enough, you're the first one that I've heard that does all of that hand holding. So there's a lot of value add there.
Yeah. And we'll even do the Google Analytics for you and the reporting for you. And on a monthly basis with our customers, we sit down and talk about, okay, we made 10 awareness videos for you. They're all out there in different places doing their thing. Which ones are working? Which ones aren't? Let's get rid of the ones that aren't working, and let's
Right.
make some more of the ones that are working. So we're fine tuning this whole strategy as we go through the process. And over the course of, a few months, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever, you can really start to hone in on capturing that ideal audience for you and
Yes.
really driving results for your company.
So when you sit down with a corporation,
Mhm.
what is your average tenure for, say, a project? Because this is not something that, oh, here's your video, boom. You're really working with them, as you mentioned, for a couple months. What's kind of that average contractual agreement?
Um, I just signed one yesterday for 4 months,
Okay.
and that's a start. And that is kind of the test period to, deliver on the promises that we've made. Assuming that it comes through as expected, we're launching a new division for a company. We would assume that it would enter into a long-term, year-long, multi-year kind of agreement.
Very fun. So
But
what has
if
been,
you just need a
yeah.
video, I'm happy to take your money.
But I do enjoy the value add, because yes, I can just give you a video, but oh, by the way, we're way more than that.
Right.
So that is such a fantastic scenario. And as a business owner myself, that is something that I definitely look for when I'm making these decisions as well. So if you were to give any advice to a business owner, maybe based off of your experiences as a business owner, what would be the number one thing that you would recommend?
I think the key to it in my mind is about building relationships, building trust, building um, the camaraderie of the value that you're not just a vendor, that you're a partner, that you are invested in their success, not just your own. Because if I can make your company grow by what we're doing, you're going to make my company grow, because we're going to keep doing more and more and more. So for me, it's about building the longer term relationships. I don't want to be your vendor. I want to become your partner. I don't want a one off. I want to be around for the next 10 years and watch you grow and help you be a part of that. And I think that trying to develop your business relationships around that type of model is extremely valuable. Don't be transactional. Be relational, I guess it would be.
Well said. Oh my gosh, you have so, like, the breadth of advice that you're giving is wonderful. I'm
Been
so
around a
happy
while.
that you joined us today. So, give us a really fascinating story about a client success story that you have had over your tenure as a business owner. What's one that just kind of pops into mind? That,
I actually think it's probably the most impressive one in my mind is with the company I just talked about that did the vision video. Because we've been with them for such a long time, we helped them back 10 years ago cross from a $30 million business to a $50 million business over a 3-year period. And I think that they would be happy to tell you that we were a big part of that because we helped them develop a marketing plan. We helped them with their website. We did all of their video production then. We helped them with their trade show presences. We were basically their marketing company without being their marketing company. And they had marketing people in the past. They'd had other groups in the past, and they came to us and said, we need help. And I said, well, let's look at it from the holistic point of view. And over a 3-year period, as I said, from 30 million to 40 million to 50 million. And there was a big party when they hit 50 million, and we were recognized right in front of the whole company as a major part of that success. And there's been a number of things like that have happened.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how often are you like a third party marketing company for some of your clients instead of them maybe having that in-house marketing group where they actually contract you guys to be that marketing arm for them?
Typically, the one I just shared with you is atypical. Typically, we're either working with their in-house marketing department or they've got an agency. And in the best relationships, we are the ones who are doing the internal messaging to the agency's external messaging. And by that, I mean like the agency is doing their commercials on TV. They're doing the big buck stuff. But there's this whole other bunch of work that has to get done to communicate the vision and the marketing and the sales to the team. How do you get the message to the team? And that's the other half of our business is corporate events. So I've talked about the video. On the events side, we're doing things like annual sales meetings. You get the sales group together of a larger organization, 200, 300, 400, whatever, salespeople. And the CEO gets up and talks about the vision. The CMO gets up and says, here's the plan. The head of sales gets up and says, you guys got to sell more. All those things. HR says, please be nice to each other. All those things have to happen, right? So we design, produce, and manage and make those events happen all over the country. Matter of fact, I'm leaving next week for an event like that in the Bahamas for an accounting company. So you got a lot of that. But that's, I forgot your question. What was your question?
It's funny because I got so stuck in the story.
All right. So the other half of our business is this corporate event world. And that's even more, it's about agencies and stuff like that. So
yes, as you being the marketing group for a company.
So we'll get involved there, and there could be an agency involved in that. It's typically on a peripheral level of big higher level messaging that we take and manipulate for the team messaging. And then it's working directly with the CMOs, directly with sales leadership, directly with the CFO or the CEOs to say, we're going to make you look good on stage. So you want to work with us because we're the ones who are going to take the risk off of your shoulders.
Yes.
We're going to take away the scariness of audiovisual stuff of AV. We're going to take away the risk of working with hotels and hotel labor. We're going to take care of all of that. So we are your partner in doing this. So you can worry about the more important stuff like schmoozing and drinking and partying with your team and building that relationship with your team. Yeah. We've got all this other stuff handled for you. And we've been very, very successful at that and developing these really trusted and long-term relationships. And if you think about it, if you're doing a corporate event, you better have trust and faith in who's directing and calling the shots for that show. And you better know who you're working with, and they better have a vested interest in you because there's such a risk for failure. Anything live has huge risk associated with that, and we really know how to mitigate that risk.
That's amazing. I love that you're going to be going to the Bahamas. That's a lot of fun. So as a business owner, of course, there are always challenges that happen. Yep. What would you say is your number one challenge right now that you're working through?
I would say on a consistent basis, it's cash flow. We're a small business. It's always about the cash. And it's been a very strange year for a lot of us out here. And I've heard it from, I'm in a couple of international groups of production people that have been talking. Everybody's feeling it, that a lot of marketing companies, marketing directors and people in leadership are saying, I'm just going to hold back for a little while. I don't know what's going to happen here with all the things going on in the world. We're just going to hold back. We love your ideas. It's great, but we're going to hold back until we see how this all shakes out. So it's been a very strange year for that. And I'm finally seeing it this month starting to open up, where
Yes.
we're getting calls back to saying, you know, that project we talked about last winter? Yeah, we're ready now. It's like, okay, well, so it's cash is always king. And when you're a small business, it's even more so. So that is the biggest challenge that we face.
Yeah. So what is your average lead time? Because you just had mentioned, hey, you know how we talked back in the fall? Let's go ahead and let's execute. What kind of is your average lead time to talking to someone to execution?
It's all over the map.
Okay.
I've got clients who I know that we're working with a year from now. And I've got a client who I've been chasing for 8 months that finally said, let's go. And I've got clients who will call me, like the one I just mentioned, the vision video, called me on Tuesday, said, hey, do you have any time this week? We want to shoot a video. And we said, yeah, come in on Thursday. So from Tuesday to Thursday, we got them in the studio and we delivered it yesterday. So 1 week.
Wow.
1 week. So it's all over the map. But I think that that's one thing that's really also unique about us is we're very nimble. We're small enough that we can be super flexible. We have, I could take you on a tour. We have multiple editing suites. We have a nice production studio. We've got lots of camera packages. We can go at a moment's notice. When we get back from the Bahamas, we got a call from a client. We have to be in Atlanta the next day. So we're flying home from the Bahamas, packing up a truck and driving to Atlanta the next day for a video shoot.
Wow.
So, we're flexible like that, and we can go at last minute. And there's enough of us that are in leadership positions that know what we're doing that we can take on those overlapping and multiple projects. And then, of course, if we need to, we have a huge pool of talented freelance people out there around the country that we tap into as needed.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So getting into business, a lot of times we have a why. Why do I do all this craziness that drives me bananas? What is your why for why you do what you do?
It has changed over the years. When I started, it was about, I thought I could do it better and I didn't want to work for anybody else, which had kind of been what I had done in my early years in Hollywood. I was mostly, working for myself and moving from show to show to show.
Yeah.
That was originally the thing. Then it became about wanting to really develop relationships and friendships in the business world, people that trust each other. And now it's about telling stories that make an impact and deliver a return. And so everything I'm doing now is focused on how do we set up this company for future success by delivering returns to our customers. That's my why at the moment. And keeping a great culture for the team so that they feel empowered, that they feel ownership in the organization, that they feel impassioned for our success. And they do.
I love that you mentioned that your why has changed.
A lot, several times.
Yes. As business owners, we get into business and it just becomes busyness and not such a business where we actually buy ourselves another job. And then we realize, wait, what am I doing? So along the way, though, the business also gives us beautiful gifts that we never ever encountered or thought about. If you were to talk about one thing that has been the most grateful gift that the business has given you and granted you, what would that be?
I would love to say financial freedom, but that'll happen someday. I think the greatest gift is probably the ability to, I'm not sure how to say this. I was going to say flexibility, or the ability to be my own keeper, sort of, so to speak, but that's not really it. I think it's given me a lot of joy in seeing how I can impact other people. It's probably the biggest gift. There's nothing more fun than when you're sitting in a hotel ballroom directing a show and you're hoping that people will applaud, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, and they do, and it's great. Or making that video production, you hope it's going to drive leads, and all of a sudden there's 25 new leads that came in this week. So it's those kinds of things that I think are really the gifts of it, and keep me engaged. And on top of that, it would be the joy that I see from what the guys around me are doing and bringing to the party. They're all a lot younger than me, and so they're the ones who are, during the pandemic, we were this close to being out of business because all of our business went away. Well, we had a request from one of our customers to do a virtual fundraiser. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not a virtual kind of guy. Well, two of my guys are online gamers. This is back in 2020. And so they knew exactly how to do this. And so they brought it into the company, and we brainstormed everything, and we put a show together. This is where my experience came in from being a show person. We put a show together, and they said, well, here's how we need to get it out there on streaming. And we helped. It was JDRF here in Southern Ohio. We helped them raise $750,000 virtually in the middle of the pandemic.
Wow.
And we have not stopped doing that kind of work ever since. And it's because these guys had the vision that they could figure this out, and they knew they had the autonomy to figure it out. And I said, if you guys can make this happen, that's fantastic. That's a whole new piece of business for us that we never knew about. But it was that ability to pivot rapidly with those guys, because they were bringing things to the party that I wasn't bringing, and I bring things that they don't have. That is really fun.
This is why I love to talk to creatives, because my background as an accountant and now as a business coach, I find it so fascinating because entrepreneurs like really think outside of the box, and they bring in others to enhance that vision, that view. And it's so cool to see. And so thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Because you've also been through a couple of recessions too, because you've been in business for a minute. So cash flow, I mean, yeah, it's hard. And I think it's something that's also, as business owners and startups, you don't really think about it as much as how hard it can be. So mindset's important. But what has been the number one thing that has really helped you through these different recessionary periods to really continue to thrive and to be the organization you are today?
It goes back to the relationships we have with our clients. If we were just transactional, we would have been cut in each recession. And the reality is that didn't happen in either one of them. It didn't happen in the pandemic. People pulled back, but they didn't necessarily stop. They came to us and said, we need new ideas.
Yeah.
We can't do what we did before. Help. And back in 2008, I guess it was, our biggest clients realized they couldn't stop marketing. They still had to get out there. They had to fight through this. And they asked us to, reduce our fees, take the journey with them. We have to make some cuts, but we want to keep using you. We did. And we came out of it the other side, and we came back stronger than ever. So it's just about fostering and maintaining those really valued relationships, and being a trusted partner, not a vendor.
Awesome. So I have some rapid fire questions.
Oh boy.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Yeah, you are. All right. What is the key to success for you?
Quite honestly, it's perseverance. It's not giving up, even when things get really dark and you're like, okay, are we going to make payroll at the end of the month? It's perseverance. It's like, I'm going to figure this out. We're going to get through it. I'm going to keep talking to everybody, and we're going to get through this. And we have.
Yes, absolutely. All right. What is a book or podcast that you're reading or listening to right now?
I was just a guest recently on a podcast called The Curious Creative, which
Oh,
I highly recommend if you check it out. It's a gentleman named Mike Kepka,
okay.
Kepka, and he is a video producer like me, and he started this podcast to talk with others like me about our experiences. And so I was a guest with him. We actually did a follow up just a week ago, but I did an original with him where we talked a lot about return on investment and things like that. The other thing I'm reading right now would be Charlie Hustle, The Rise and Fall of Pete Rose. My brother-in-law gifted it to me and said, he's a baseball nerd, and said, you got to read this. And it's like, I really don't know if I care that much. But it's been a fascinating read, and it's a huge book. It's like this thick or something on Pete Rose's entire life and career. And, whether you like him, love him, hate him, heck of a ball player,
Mhm.
questionable on the other side of his life. Not for me to judge, but it's been a fascinating read about, and it was all my youth. He was one of my baseball heroes growing up.
Right.
And I know his whole career from being a Cincinnati Reds fan. So it's been a really fun read to read that book.
Did you play baseball at all?
Oh, sure. Back in, when I was a kid, when I was 8 or 9 or 10, then no, it was not going to be my sport.
I was always fascinated with how often he would slide in head first
Oh, yeah.
because I played softball and that was the scariest thing was to slide in head first. I don't think I ever did do it. I slid, never head first. So it's really neat to watch him play, but the fear
Oh,
just
yeah.
didn't exist while he played. It's
Right.
so cool. All right, so before we get into the final question of today, please share with our audience how they can get a hold of you because they need you, because we need to make sure that we are converting those leads into sales.
No, I appreciate that. Right off the bat, I'm all over LinkedIn at Bob Kelly or KPG Creative on LinkedIn. Either way, you can find me. Kelly, not EY. Um, and then we're also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the socials. You can find KPG Creative. And then I would think that the best way is our website, which is kpgcreative.com. And you can see a lot of examples of our work there. You can read about our philosophy of how we do things. You can learn about the ROVI I've talked about. It's all there. So reach out that way. There's contact forms there. You can reach out to me directly, and I'd be happy to talk and share more or see if we can help you tell your story in a way that delivers some results.
Awesome. So we've come to the final question of the day, unfortunately, because I could keep talking to you for a very long time, Bob. But what is most inspiring to you today?
I had to think about this one a little bit, but it really comes back to a poem that a friend of mine wrote. Friend of mine, his name is Giovanni Lavera, and he is a motivational speaker who is also a world-class magician. He is in the Magicians Hall of Fame, and he speaks a lot at corporate events, and I've used him probably a dozen times with my clients over the years. He's written several books, but one of the books he wrote had a poem in it called It, and it's about finding your it. And I
Hmm.
don't have the whole poem in front of me, so I can't read it to you, but basically the concept is that everybody has an it. You
Yeah,
just have to find it. You might have it, you might know it, but really it's about where your passion and your talent collide, and that's your it. So find your it. It's there. You just have to find it. Where are your passions and where are your talents collide? That's your it.
that is beautiful. I feel like you need to post that poem like out into the universe because that's a lot of power.
And I can't steal it from Geo. He's
No,
got.
you would have to definitely yes, reference him and all the good things because that's a lot of power.
I believe
That's
he's at Giovanni Experiences or GiovanniExperiences.com. Giovanni Lavera is his name. Look him up on Google. You'll find him. Super guy,
awesome.
very, very inspirational. And he's been a good friend to me over the years.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing. So, this was a wonderful, great conversation. I really enjoyed hearing your story, how you got to where you are from Hollywood back home here in the Cincinnati area. So, thank you for sharing.
Sure. Happy to do it.
So, Also, all of you who have joined us today, I encourage you definitely like and subscribe. Save this show, listen to it again, because Bob had some really great nuggets that you guys are going to want to reference and get back to, especially about your it. So make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel because you want to get notifications whenever we have more conversations drop just like this one. Thanks to everyone who have joined us today. And Bob, thank you so much for sharing KPG Creative with us, telling the story, and even more so about what you guys do, because it's more than just creating videos. So thank you.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Really enjoyed talking with you, Jennifer, and look forward to talking with anybody else out there whenever they'd like to.
Excellent. This is so much fun. I appreciate you and all of you for joining us. Thank you.